off to the races. All right.
Cool.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
And what can I do you for today?
So I feel like I have a pretty decent grasp on most of the systems in the game, like what I somewhat need to do. But my issue is, I feel like I don't have enough time to do everything that I would like to do. And
Sure.
I'm kind of in like a holding pattern of doing just like basic dailies, but I don't necessarily know if I'm doing what's most optimal to, progress my account at this point.
Yeah, to get where you want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Okay, so that's like a time management thing. And what is where you want to go?
So right now, I want to get just to where I can get at least these two main guys to where I can easily solo low main and start doing like maybe get to a hard lucid group, that type of a thing, maybe a hard lotus, hard Damien type group.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the short term. I kind of like the idea of having multiple characters that can do a lot of that type of stuff. Like I don't have a ton of time to do all of my totems every month, but I like the idea of like bossing mules just because bossing is probably my favorite thing to do in the game, and I think it would just be cool to just have that be my main source of income essentially. But I mean, for right now, I gotta get at least these two guys to do.
Yeah, the scaling aspect of that is a bit harder.
Yeah.
Initial investment and then the scaling. Weeklies don't scale terribly well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so how far are they right now?
So right now, my DA is about 23.5 K stat, and my Demon Slayer is about 11K stat. I've been working mostly on my Demon Slayer for about the last month and a half, just because I'm planning on switching back to my DA being my main character once Destiny hits, just because I think the training is going to be much easier. I feel like
Hope so, yeah.
I can't imagine it's going to get any less efficient, so...
Yeah, that would be really hard to pull that off somehow, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I mostly was making my Demon Slayer just as like for the link, for the 210 link, and I kind of just really liked it, and have recently got fairly lucky. Yeah, exactly.
And you get decent XP from doing like Monster Park and doing the dailies, like the symbol dailies, right? So you kind of keep that that wave, you keep surfing that wave of EXP kind of for free, so they kind of push you further into the game, yeah.
Yep, exactly. It seemed like I couldn't believe how much XP I was getting from the dailies, because I started playing again about 2 months ago, and it had been about 2 years, and I don't remember if the dailies were that much XPs back then.
Themselves, they didn't give anything. It was just from the monsters. They just gave the symbols, and that was it. And the extra chunk is like completely surplus, yeah. It's only once a day per account, though, so you couldn't do it on like all your characters and like mass level, though.
Yeah. So I usually do all of the ones down through Arcana on my DA, and then the rest of them I'll do on my Demon Slayer, just because I won't get the rest of that XP on my Demon Avenger regardless.
Yeah, so where you want to get the EXP, you want to do them first in the day, right? So if you feel like the EXP is like nice, but maybe doesn't scale as well to a higher level character, you could also try to do the lower level dailies like the Vanishing Journey and the Choo Choo first on the Demon Slayer. That way that guy can dip into the EXP, and it won't be as much of a loss to the DA, something like that. Yeah, I hope it's gonna be a success. And how far is the DS right now?
He is 220. I just got to lock a line, and I had 20 symbols from doing the Yum Yum, and I had the 100 symbols from the event, so I was able to get my lock line symbol to 6 pretty much immediately. I've only had like one set of dailies on him so far, but I mean, I hit that 36% attack on his weapon like 2 days ago, and I mean, it's been pretty awesome. I was thinking I was gonna probably take a little bit of a break and try to work on his gear a little bit more, just because I wanted to. When I train, I wanted to make sure that I was one-shotting, but it seems like I should be one-shotting through Lockline now, pretty much the whole time. So
yeah, the arcane power from the guilds, from the hyperstats, and then from your symbols together, that keeps going. I think pretty much until Arcana. It's basically, you just roll into Arcana, but then if you want to go into the higher levels of Arcana, that's where you kind of Yeah, but most people hit a little bit of a wall because the nodes and the symbols can't really keep up that hard.
Yeah, I've been trying to buy and get as many nodes as possible. The past couple weekends, I haven't been doing any totems on my Demon Slayer just because I've been trying to get more just meso for the events, like the cubing event and the Star Force event, and I get about 800 mil every totem on my Demon Avenger, and I get about 200 from my Demon Slayer. So it's been all right. I've just been doing L Cup on my Demon Avenger. I have about 5 bills saved up for 5, 10, 15. So I'm hoping that I can get a little bit of gains on that. I think I have about 4 pieces on my Demon Slayer that are 15 star, and I have 1 16 star on my Demon Avenger that I would like to get 17.
Okay, that sounds doable with that that amount of money, you know. Unless they're arcanes, because they was going to go all over the place. But I'm assuming they're not arcanes. Okay, and this is like the general effort. And when you say you don't really have much time to like complete your totems, what does that mean? You have like an hour a day to play, or?
No, I mean I probably could if that was basically all I did. I probably could play about 8 hours a day on Saturday, Sunday, and then I have about 4 hours a day during the regular days of the week.
Right, yeah. But if you throw up like a bunch of totems, then there's not much else you can do on those days.
Exactly, and I just feel like doing my arcanes is important. I like to do like at least Arcarium and Pink Bean on pretty much all of my. I have 3 characters that I've been doing those on just because I got a Luminous to almost 220. And I actually decided about a week ago that I shouldn't be working on 3 characters simultaneously. I just don't have the
it spreads a little thin.
To do that, you know. So like I'm hoping I can work on next weekend. I have a 4-day weekend. I'm gonna try to get a couple more characters to 100. Start doing the Zachem thing.
Oh, you're getting a little bit further from your mic, I think, because you're.
No, sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a couple. I'm trying to get a couple level 100s just to start working on my Legion a little bit more, just to get a couple more. Just because I want to get them to 100 and then maybe do the Zachem thing where I just run Zachem every day and get the free levels
just
from that.
Blows up in levels at that point. Yeah,
exactly. But for right now, I just feel like I'm not sure. Like the arcane dailies are important. Like those are probably my biggest, most important thing to do on these 2 characters. But
anything that can give you nodes, anything that can get you final damage, right? Which is basically symbols and nodes.
Yeah, for sure. So right now I'm mostly just wondering like which piece of gear maybe I should focus on next, and like maybe if there's any glaring holes that I'm not really seeing, you know.
Yep. And when you mentioned time management, so is there any stuff that you are doing now that you're like wondering, I don't know if I should be doing this?
I've been doing basically all of my daily bosses on my DA and my Demon Slayer every day, and I know that's only like 20 minutes, but I'm not. It feels like it's been worth it to me, but I'm not 100% sure if it's worth it, just because I feel like getting a couple, like a Master Craftsman cube here and there, a Meister cube here and there, a couple flames here and there might be a good thing, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily the best use of my time.
Yeah, when it comes to when you get those items, that's cool, and that's value, but they're never exactly the same value as what you could, like if you can buy it from the shop, right? Because then if it's that meso, then that meso is flexible and you can spend it anywhere you want, so it's not quite up to the same level. When it comes to the value of your time, really depends. Like if you have half an hour, it's not like you could throw up a totem, right? If you could do some bosses in that time, then at least you get something out of it, and if you enjoy bossing on top of that, then that's a win-win. But if you have 2 hours and you're like, I could do a totem, or I could do daily bosses on like 3 characters, and then that doesn't quite fill the 2 hours, and the gains, if you look at the numbers, even if you give them like a generous conversion rate to how much they would be worth in meso, like a totem would still be better in the sense that it gives you EXP and it gives you the money, the resources. There is, of course, a little bit of lower value, quote unquote, from your totems if you're not really buying the Legion coupons, right, and doing the wealth stuff, because I'm assuming that you're probably mainly saving for Legion building.
For right now, I have been, the past couple weeks, I have been spending pretty much all of my Legion coins on those wealth coupons, just because, like I said, I was just training on my DA just to try to get money for these events. I was planning on probably saving up more once 5 times 15 wears off. Like I have I'm gonna run probably 2 totems today just to try to cap off, and then
Yeah, because tomorrow,
I'll probably
right?
be saving them.
So
Yeah, exactly.
last minute money making, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you have any? So time management. That's going to be the thing that I keep like in the back of my head, right? And do you have any like? Do you have like a list of questions of stuff that you wanted to specifically ask?
So my plan right now is to get this Demon Slayer to hopefully 230 before Destiny hits. I think it's very doable at 220. But I'm kind of curious, should I try to spend like pretty much all my Meso after this event trying to get drop and Meso gear on him, or do you think it's wouldn't quite be worth it at this point?
On the DS, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would depend on the actual goal of the character. So you said you want to get both of them basically to the same point, right?
Yeah, I kind of want to. I think it's going to be kind of like a co-main type deal that I'm going to be going for, because I don't really like playing only one character.
Okay.
So
sure. Then I think eventually you get the value out of it. So when it comes to like the point where you do it, it's usually like when everything is if everything is like epic or unique and has some decent stats on it, and you already have some legendaries on your WSE, then like the drop in Meso gear right after that seems worth it. And usually that's somewhere around like 225 where you decide that you're really going to commit to the character, or that you're going to like have it like as a side piece, maybe fund it just enough to do some bosses. But if you know that you're going to commit, then making the drop in Meso gear is that would be worth it.
Okay. Another question I have is on my DA right now, I only have 80% Meso obtained on my gear, and I couldn't quite decide on which of my accessories I should make into my last piece of Meso gear, because my reinforced earrings are the 3rd set of my reinforced set. You'll see there's a few things that I've done on my Demon Avenger that I did way back in the day that I'm not super happy about. It's like there's kind of a lot of things that I feel like I spent a lot of money on. I used to buy a lot of Master Craftsman cubes just to try to get good, unique potentials, that type of thing. But I have like I said, I have that 80%, and I'm curious if I should do it on my reinforced earrings, because my reinforced earrings right now are 21% HP, and I don't know if I necessarily want to re-roll that just to get like maybe one line Meso, 1 line HP, or if I should try to. I also have a Sweetwater tattoo that's double prime line unique, so it's 18% HP. I just I'm not really sure which of those. I think those are the 2 main ones.
I'm looking at your DS here. Let's see if I can where I see the HP rolls. Yeah. So for drop, it was the face accessory. You were not sure?
I think it's the face accessory. Yeah, it's the face accessory. So my monocle has the Meso, and my face accessory only has the 18% HP right now.
Yeah. And so when you switch into like Meso and drop set, or do you have like a hybrid set? Is this just the set you always?
I kind of have a hybrid set right now. This is pretty much all what I wear right now, because all my stuff that has Meso and drop has at least 1 line of HP. I didn't really go for that. I kind of just got really lucky.
Okay.
So like for right now, it's like I have the Dominator pendant. That's the
the crit
compensation line. Dominator pendant with the crit line, and I think 91% crit when I have Sharp Eyes on, so I kind of need that right now.
Yep. That's with Sharp Eyes you have 91.
Yeah. So I need to get that up, but I'm working on. I'm gonna get a Night Lord up, and then I'm going to do a Marksman in.
Legion and Lynx
Destiny, so that should be
for DA. That's 100%. Pretty necessary, or you have to get the Inner-ability line. Yeah. Really starved for crit.
Yeah.
Okay, so you end up with 4 line. You're so basically 4/4, or like 4 Meso. I think
right now I'm 3 drop 4 Meso right now.
Okay. So with the Holy Symbol, you're definitely at 67% mark for the drop. Okay.
And I have a big Spider Familiar from back in the day, so I have the large drop.
Okay, Meso, that's very useful as well. Yeah. That's definitely one of the better things to grandfather into your other
Absolutely.
stuff.
I have a couple friends who just started playing recently, and they're really salty about that. And
it's a huge difference.
The potable badge too on 2 of my characters, they're also very jealous of.
It's a good thing, because that probably means that they won't surpass you very quickly if they're too busy being mad at that. If they were really grinding it out, they would still surpass you in no time. Because they're very useful, but definitely not game defining.
No.
So you are, yeah. So which are the other pieces that can still get like? Oh well, there's one other one that doesn't have. Is it an earring? You don't have a dropper meso earring?
Yeah, my reinforced Velox earrings, which I know I will eventually definitely turn into dropper meso gear just because I'm gonna replace it with superior. But for right now, if I only get one helix run a day, I usually put it on. I've been putting on my DS just because it's been what I've been playing the most.
What do you mean one helix run a day?
Like I have my buddies can help me through a helix, and I should be able to do helix on my DA, but it's about a 50-50 chance whether I'm gonna live through it or not most of the time.
It's probably a little rough on the character, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll end up just doing hard lux on them just to get something, you know. Even though it doesn't drop to a belter.
Yeah, no. I mean, coins are coins, you know. They're definitely useful. Yeah, and you rolled a 21, so that kind of locks you into the reinforced at this point. Yeah, I mean, I would be okay with you grabbing like a Diacitus earring or one of those other ones, because when it comes to your drop set, you're gonna have more. Aren't you gonna have more pieces of the boss accessory set on, which has some percentage HP in it as well? So usually that cushions the blow quite nicely for DAs.
Yeah, I could. I usually just get rid of those, but I can get them fairly easily. I mean, it drops pretty easily.
Well, if the other pieces aren't matching, then it won't be as good, of course. But they do have flame advantage, so that can give you a little bit of an edge. Because when you're looking at, yeah, because you got the monocle is like hybrid. Because if it's hybrid, yeah, earring is a little bit annoying situation. But I guess for the tattoo, yeah, you probably just want to get it up to legendary. Just bite that bullet.
That's kind of my idea. I got my reinforced pendant to legendary from, not my reinforced, my superior pendant to legendary from unique, just because during the cube sale, because I was like, I'm gonna get this thing to legendary eventually anyway, and I might as well try to roll meso obtain on it just to get up to 80%, because I knew I was gonna be doing quite a few totems.
Yeah. On that note, though, and I think I saw it on your glove on your DS as well. Cube sale and all that, that's great, and like the early tap. But the once you made it legendary, now you're kind of stuck star forcing on the item, and the transfer hammer option is out of the question, right? That's something to take into account as well. Because if you're like, I'm going to cube early because there's 25%, you know, sale on cubes, but then you're gonna like lose 30 to 35% in costs because you can't transfer hammer into it anymore. I would say like that's kind of an EV negative decision at that point.
We do have that 117 star enhancement scroll, but there's only one, so I definitely
there is. Well, that's actually a good point, because I don't know 100%, but there might be one in Destiny as well.
That would be beautiful. This time it wouldn't feel as bad.
I would have to double check. Mister, I'm making a video about it, by the way. Because I think it's for the new creation of the I think the new adventurer creation, I think, be in the shop. Star Force. How do I Google this? 17. Okay, there's only 25 instances of 17. This should be fine. Okay, a lot of... Oh! There it was. No, that's the Absolab. I knew that. Okay, so not in here. I don't know if the event shop is in this version of the patch. I know also boom, and then there you have a little bit extra buffer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, my point was more like, make sure that you're aware, like if you're actively making decisions to go hard on the potential first, then you're excluding the transfer hammer option. So as long as you understand transfer hammer and how all of that exactly works, and that you're aware that you're making that choice, then it's fine. Then I don't want to like preach about that or something. Just wanted to make sure that you're.
Yeah, I did it with my weapon when I switched from Pencilier. I went from Pencilier to Fafnir to my Absol weapon when I got it. Like I've been working on it. Most of the one of the main reasons why I did it with my Galax pendant was because it was already unique, and I was like, whatever. I don't really want to. My other option was I'm gonna go turn a unique Chaos Horntail necklace into a legendary Chaos Horntail necklace. So I was like, I'd rather have my. If I'm gonna spend the cubes, I'd rather spend it on a piece of gear that I might end up using. Well, that I'm definitely gonna end up using at some point anyway. But another question about the DA. I know that technically, like BIS for your pendant is transposing your Dominator pendant to like a Sweetwater pendant. Would that be BIS on a Demon Avenger? Because I don't know that I've seen. Because I know it transfers the flame, but it doesn't transfer like the HP %, does it?
Yeah. So when it comes to the flame transfer, that basically is like a wash for DA. It doesn't really do anything. The one part that transposing does is give you that extra 8 attack and a little bit of stat if you do it at 16 stars. But you lose and higher bonus stats after and everything, but you lose the percentage HP on it, 10% HP. And you do have a badge, right? Yeah. If you don't have a badge, then I would definitely not do it, because then the Crystal Ventus plus the Dominator plus the Cup like gives you another 5% there as well on the set bonus. So then it's definitely a no-go. Since you do have potential badge, I decided not to transpose on my DA because I was like, I think it's too close to like matter, so I'll just do Dominators instead. I guess you could do like, let's say that you're really unlucky with Dominators and you only have like 1 or 2. You could be like, oh fuck it, I'll just transpose, because then it could just be on the dinero side where the effort is. But if you have, eventually, hopefully you get enough to Dominators, and then it's more like a just Star Force it, because flame gains are
spares right now, so.
Yeah, it would be like at the time where you're trying to send like things past 17, right? But like you have the 15 star now with 2 lines HP and with crit rate, and it's got a decent flame, so there's no pressure right now to work on Dominators, I would say. Like the only Dominators you could work on, but that's if you didn't have your pendant to superior to a legendary, then it would be to transfer hammer into the superior instead, so you can save some money that way. But yeah, with 2 backups, that's just a matter of just getting more and then making the big jump to like a 21 or something, and then you can completely retire this Dominator pendant.
I think that for right now it just seems like it's even if I did get like a 3 line on a legendary Dominator pendant, I don't even know if it'd be worth it, just because I'm not at that 100% crit rate.
Yeah, exactly. I would just put that for like mid to long term, because this one is totally fine where it is at right now. And until literally everything is 17 and it's all like legendary and 2 line, and you really want to start like if you want to start sending past 17, even then you do like stuff like CRA first, and then maybe like kind of treasuring if you have some backups by then. Usually then people do like the reinforced belts or the pink bean belts to transfer into the superior, because that's easy to get a bunch of backups for, and then maybe reinforced earrings into a high star force superior earring, and then you might circle back to the pendant.
Gotcha.
And that gives you way more time to get more backups, right? And then by then it will be like a logical solution and the logical next move to do, because you will have so many backups at that point.
Okay. Kind of switching over to my Demon Slayer a little bit. Another question I kind of had was when I was rolling for my Absol weapon, I was trying to get IED, and I got that 3 line, so I got to get my IED somewhere else now. I have 70% boss on my secondary with 9% stat, so the 9% stat's not super useful, but it's nice to not have a dead 3rd line. And I have 18% attack on my emblem. I'm not sure which of those 2 would be better to try to get the IED out of.
So what's your functional? Because, God, how's the IED situation for? You mainly have a lot of crit rate in your kit, right? Do you have bonus IED and skills for DS? I think you have a hyper,
Weird.
right, for like the Demon Lash or something, but I don't know if you guys take that one.
Let me switch over to it real quick and take a look. So no Demon Lash, hyper skill. I don't see anything about crit rate.
No, IED I meant, sorry.
Or not crit rate, IED. Yeah, I don't see anything about IED on that. I think right now I have
You're getting the website.
77 IED functional, so it's not great, especially when I was trying to help. Like I was doing Lomian the other day, and I felt like I don't feel like I was doing my full damage, you know.
Yeah, well, same thing with DA. DA has the debuff, right? The big debuff.
Yeah.
You have one debuff, I believe, that also increases IED and drop rate, right? You want to keep on the target as a DS?
So it's Demon Cry maybe that you're thinking about? Because that's XP and item drop rate, but it just, oh, it does minus 15% defense.
Yeah.
Enemy attack and defense.
Yeah, so it's not quite like the Demon, it's not quite like the Demon Lash for Demon Avengers, like a weaker version, but it is also some extra functional IED there that you can get. Okay. And what is the, Demon Lash has Fury, Absorption, Final Damage, and Final Damage of skills after Demon Lash. Oh, gotcha, okay. Yeah, it's mostly a bunch of your kit has a built-in crit rate. That's the one that I remember. Okay. Blah, blah. Yeah. So the usual suspects when it comes to IED, you've seen the lists. With that low, you definitely want one line somewhere. Yeah. And it's definitely not going to come from your weapon. We. We could say that much. And you have the 10% from the set bonus from the boss accessory set as well, right?
Yeah, I do.
It seems like you have a whole lot of pieces there, yeah.
I might lose it at some point though, because I don't think I'm gonna. Right now, I'm severely lacking in pendants. I have a Horntail and a Chaos Horntail pendant on this guy. I haven't even gotten a halfway decent Mechanator pendant at any point yet. Unfortunate. Yeah, so it's kind of just in a holding pattern. I have about 5 days left of Helix on this guy before I get before I can get my superior pendant. So that'll probably be a pretty decent upgrade.
Well, I wouldn't do much in terms of IED, right? Because I don't think you have
not yet.
Yeah, not yet, no.
But it'll actually end up making me lose IED because
exactly.
One of these pendants.
Yeah, so that might actually be like a negative switch for you. Check the list real quick. Ambition, that's going to be leveling over time. Base stats, yeah. Oh, what's your progress looking like on the Monster Parker medal? Are you trying to do that on the DS?
I haven't been actively trying to do it. If I've been doing Monster Park, I have been doing it on him, but it's mostly when I'm like, I have 10% left to level, and I only have a certain amount of time. Let me do all 7, but that's probably a good idea to start working on that.
Yeah, it's one of those things to have like to get into the habit, especially because you want to be able to always be able to cover whatever you're doing with a Monster Park potions, whether it's on a main or on a mule. And if you make a habit of always doing Monster Park, you'll just have so many gold potions and red and green and maybe blue if you're leveling a mage up. And that'll just help you, especially if you're doing bosses or grinding, having a green and a gold pot all the time. It's just more EXP from the monsters plus faster attack speed, which means you don't get stuck as much. It'll help with the boss fights as well, and to get out of the way faster and not get destroyed by some things. And new characters will just love it, because comparative to that, for a new character, it's a way bigger buff because they've got much less going on, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, same I guess for this one. If you do decide to switch to pendants, which you could do, then you probably end up switching like the earring, I guess, right? Because then if you get one of those Deocidus or the other one in there, you could re-establish the set bonus. Plus, I don't think you lose that much from the earring, right? It's like 9%?
No, my earring's 6%. Yeah, 6%, I could easily switch that over.
So that would be the switch to maintain your IED if you did want to do that, because I don't think the regular Horntail pendant doesn't seem very upgraded at all, so that would still be a positive switch.
I didn't want to put any sort of meso into that. It seemed like a waste.
No, I think it's probably a good idea to at least get one line of IED out there. And you know, the pressure is basically on. Like, you don't have superior yet, but that's pretty normal at this point. But the pressure is mainly on because your legion isn't that developed yet. And if you're going to be playing multiple mains, I would say to put extra effort into your legion, because you're basically funding 2 characters with it, so you're getting double value out of it. So comparatively, that's a good use of your time, I would say.
Okay.
Because yeah, just the legion block on the board, right? It's a 40% IED chunk. That's just like a free prime potential line, basically.
Yeah, I kind of had a misconception with it, because for whatever reason, when I went to my managed legion, I had saw that it was like legion character 1 out of 13 or something at one point, and I was like, man, I got to get to 2500th legion levels with only 13 characters, and I ended up just focusing on trying to do that, and then I realized that actually that wasn't really how it worked.
Yeah, that's how many characters are qualified to count for the legion, so they have to be at least level 60. That's when their level starts counting. And you could have 54 characters on your account that are all level 59, your legion would be 0. Even though you have a lot of levels if you throw it all together. I think it's okay to get like a line of ID out there, and it seems like your emblem is the best shot, like, because you have an 18, which is pretty easy to re-roll to get to 18 or to get to 21, but the emblem also doesn't have the boss damage out, so that is typically the ideal item to get some ID on anyway, because there's not much else going on there. So that's probably if you could get, like, instead of 2 lines attack, just 1 line attack and 1 line of ID or something, that would already be a huge increase in damage on bosses, for sure.
Legion Pass. Another question is, I have enough to get my Abso shoulder on my Demon Slayer, but I just haven't gotten. I need to do weeklies on this guy one more time, and I'll have it. Okay. But should I?
That cuts into the set bonus again, by the way, right? So keep that in mind as well.
It does. You're right, man.
So if you do both of those switches, then you'd have to get Ifia's ring in there, for example. To are you using Superior Belt right now on the DS, or is that?
Am I using? Yeah, I have Sub Belt on my Demon Slayer right now.
Because most people around this level would still have like a Pink Bean or a Zakum belt, and then that would make up for the set.
Yeah, I got really lucky, and I got the Sub belt.
If you're gonna switch both, and you're gonna drop to a 5 set anyway, then you can just let go of the earrings and switch a shoulder and the pendant. But then, like you said, you're losing an extra line of ID. So what that basically will do is put more pressure on your hyperstats and on your Legion and your Links.
It will make me 4 set Abso though if I get the shoulder, so that will give me that 10%.
That's a 10%
IED.
back. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be losing anything there.
Yeah, and then switching to Cape is just for the last boss damage, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the last switch, obviously, because the Tyrant Cape base stats are based. So it's good stuff. Just like the Superior Belt is an instant switch, because that 35 base weapon magic attack and 60 stat is kind of disgusting. It's almost like a Tyrant item.
It's actually crazy. I had 9% strength on my Pink Bean Belt before I got it, and when I got it, it was like no potential or anything on it, and I was like, oh, this makes my range go up 100k.
Yeah. Yeah, easiest.
It's crazy.
Easiest switch. And you got the 3 line on Unique. That's always really nice, because it doesn't force you to go to Legendary. You still get a lot of value out of it. And then you're going to transfer Hammer to it later anyway, so then you don't have to feel like you're losing a Legendary. So that's ideal situation, basically.
Yeah, definitely. So for 5, 10, 15, is it more efficient to do like anything to 15 during that event, or would you think waiting until just the overall 25% off all Star Force would be a better idea?
So I think if your character really needs the damage to be able to kill things and to be able to keep up, then I think going up to 17 is fine during tomorrow's event. But like in the case of your DA or something, if you basically like, 1 or 2 items to 17, but I'll basically start pushing my CRA past 17 and really doing like some crazy stuff up to 19 or even up to in the 20s, then I would say definitely wait until the summer, because those are the crazy amounts, and then the percentages just represent such a large amount of money at that point that it's just way better to wait for that.
Okay. Let's see. What else was I? It's a question I've had about Legion. So let's say I really like leveling one type of character for my Legion. And I was like, I really just want to get some more IED or whatever, so I want to level 3 Beast Tamers or whatever. Could you have 3 Beast Tamers all at the same time in your Legion link board and have all of those percentages adding up, or is it only like 1 per character in your Legion board?
It's 1 per class type can be the member buff, right? That only counts for 1 of each type. Yeah.
Oh,
but you
okay.
could
So
put 3 in
like...
there, but then so the member bonus won't count, but the grid bonus will count, like depending on where you put it and what area it covers.
Okay, so that makes sense. So like
yeah, otherwise people would be put like 40 jets on the board and get 200% critical damage, right?
Yeah, I guess that would be kind of broken.
Yeah, and then the classes that have those good base numbers would be at a huge advantage against the other characters because they wouldn't be able to take advantage of it quite as much. So,
Okay.
Like you have a good ID kit, well, you don't need any in your Legion board. Boom, like just get 20% crit damage instead, or like 40, you know. You can make, like, it can be a good idea to make duplicates though, right? So for example, let's say that you know that you're going to be maining these 2 characters and you want to keep your options open, and you've probably seen the links command, right? With all of the links in Legion for the characters.
Yeah.
Let's say that you're like at character number, I don't know, like 42, and you're like, okay, at this point, any character that I would main, I could build an optimal Legion for that character. Like, I don't really need any more. But you still have 12 slots left for, for character creation. You could say, I really like DS and DA a lot, and I'm going to make other bossing mules. There's Terra Burnout. I'm going to make 6 extra DSs and 6 extra DAs because I already know how those characters work. I already have optimal links and Legion built for them, so I can just swap them really easily. And because I know how they work, they need lower funding to be able to kill those bosses and to start generating that income. So that does give you some extra space to move around with that, but you probably wouldn't put them in the Legion board. But you could at some point when you're like, okay, the last 5 characters I put in my Legion board are basically just there to give me more Legion score, right? To give more raid power. Yeah. And then if you make bossing mules and they're better than other mules that were in there, you can still swap them out. You don't miss anything, right? What are you going to lose, like flat int or flat luck? When the board is used for your DS, like, who cares, right? Get that raid power instead and get those extra coins.
Okay. That makes sense. All right, let's see what else.
I did see one thing though, if I can mention it, and I think your hyperstats build is a little all over the place and can use some fine tuning, especially on the DA. Because you've got kind of, you have a hybrid equip set, which is totally understandable, but you've also got a hybrid hyperstat build, which is not really acceptable anymore because of the presets that you have, right? So the efficiency of your hyperstats is very low now because you got 6s and 5s and 8s and 5s and 4s and 10s and 8s and the general order is off a little bit as well. So I am working on a new video, but let me show you, or I've sent that for a while now. Show this. But basically, this is like the priority I would give to make sure, and mentioning final damage again. Anything that would give you final damage would be like way top priority, right? So it'd be like arcane power, and then crit rate because it gives access to critical damage, which is a kind of final damage. It's like additive final damage, not multiplicative, but it's like as close as you can get. With ID, a little bit more important, of course, for bossing, because that doesn't give you final damage, but it gives you reduced final damage reduction, so it's essentially giving you final damage. And then damage to boss and normal monsters, and then regular damage because just below it because it's a little bit lower at the levels past level 5. And then any utility that you might need. I don't know, for training, Demon Slayers want extra fury. I guess it depends on what level you go to and whether you're like telecasting with a Chaos Lock or something, right? I know at higher end some people want a little bit more of a buffer.
I felt like when I wasn't one-shotting, I wanted more just because I didn't want to run out before I was killing the mobs to then recoup my fury, but right now while I'm one-shotting, I probably don't need it.
And you can rotate between your big skills, and then some of those give you extra regeneration as well, right? So
yeah, I think so.
And, in Frenzy it's going to change, and Blue Blood is just going to be a toggle, so you don't have to worry as much about, micromanaging that either, so...
Yeah, it's going to be so nice. That class is already so strong, and they're just like, all right, let's just make you also have Blue Blood all the time.
Yeah, I heard from late game players though that they essentially have blue butt all the time, but you know you have to play the class properly to do it. But it's pretty doable to have it, you know, with some buff duration here and there. With like the standard buff duration, it is pretty doable, or like pretty standard. But yeah, the fact that they just like give it for free instead, that's definitely that's a different take on that whole situation. Yeah, and it's definitely from right from the beginning. Even if you're just like practicing the bosses, that's something you don't have to worry about at all anymore, and you can just always know that you're just destroying it. Yeah, that's definitely good stuff.
So I'm looking at my hyperstats and my DA, and the preset that I was on for the screenshot isn't the one I usually use for my bossing. That's like whatever I had from before. I just had never reset it.
Ah, I see.
But
Okay.
for my bossing one, I have my 10 points in crit rate. I have 9 points in crit damage, and then I have like 7 and 7 in IED and damage, and then 9 in boss, and then 9 in attack. But I have 10 in HP. Is that not worth it for DA, even though it's percent?
Yeah, I have 10 in HP as well, but I've heard from some people that it doesn't scale as well the higher you go, and it seems that HP is good at like, I think only once you go like past level 260 or something would you get it like to level 9 or to level 10. Apparently it's better at like around level 8 or something is like a good sweet spot. Just because 9 and 10 combined, that's 4 extra percent, but it's also 65 high percent points, so it can get pretty pricey. But basically once you get past that point, like level 260ish, you're gonna go past level 10 on the other ones anyway, and then you're talking like 65, 80 points per level. So then it's like, okay, then HP comes back into play and might go up to level 10. The other thing you have a little bit higher than I would put it is your attack and magic attack, because even though that does get multiplied by your percentages, it's not a crazy amount per level, and that is usually one I keep like around level 6 or 7, like at the highest, basically for the leftover points, so that you can definitely make sure that you don't take points away from leveling up your damage, because you said your damage and your ID was at 7.
Yeah, my IED and damage are about 7.
I would say your IED and your damage and your boss or normal monster damage and your critical damage should always be higher than your attack. Always by like at least 2 or 3 levels. Yeah.
Okay. So usually when I'm bossing on this guy, I have about 95% effective or visual IED. Do you think I still would want to put more than like 7 points in my hyperstats even with that amount?
95 visual?
Yeah. Or it might be like 94, something like that. I don't know why it's not.
If
right
familiars are giving ID or?
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
And do you have an event buff right now? Did you pick the ID one there?
I do have the event buff, yes.
Okay.
I only have 2 points in it at this point, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you have your debuff, right? Your Nether Slash for this, and your main attack skill has a built-in 30% as well. Plus your Nether Shields get double IED, so. You know, for most of your stuff, TA is good. It's fine on the IED. Does your WSE have any?
I have a line of IED on my emblem, 30%.
Okay, but just one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you have the fake weapon. That's why an extra critical rate. That's nice.
And I have my secondary is pretty good, but it's back from the days when there was only when you could roll 20% boss damage on your secondary.
Yeah, I still have one of those. Yeah, it's I mean, it was my very first legendary cube I used. I got it to legendary in 4 cubes, and I used 1 cube and rolled 21 attack, 20 boss, and I was like, I'm done. Never touching that thing again. But yeah, it's not. It's a little bit of an eyesore, but yeah, the history, the fact that it's only 1 cube. Yeah, you got attack and then 20 boss and 9 crit. Yeah, that's understandably something you keep in the beginning for sure.
I mean, I think eventually once my Legion's more built up and I have more of a buffer on my crit rate, I might be able to re-roll it. But for right now, I need that crit rate, so there's no way I'm re-rolling that.
Yeah, or getting the Damien shield, right?
Oh yeah. Actually, that would be ideal.
Yeah, because then you can basically keep this as a placeholder while you just mass roll the other thing, and you can start really living on the edge because. I call it the suicide shield, and there is a reason I call it that. Yeah. Okay, so the hyperstat thing, that all makes sense, right? But you have like a better setup, like you said already. So it's mainly just like the putting attack in the order, because I have attack here, right? Like so you get like leftover points. Then attack is like the best of the worst stats basically, and then main stat, secondary stat, tertiary stat. So like main stat would be. Yeah, I guess for DA it would just be flipped because it's percentage. But yeah, that would be an exception, I guess, like DA, percentage, main, stat. I'll make sure to make a note there. But that'll make sense. The second thing I noticed that I definitely want to mention is for your gloves, critical damage is so much better than all the other stats that you can have. I noticed both of your gloves don't have critical damage, right?
I don't have critical damage on my Demon Slayer. I did at one point, but I didn't have any stat on it, and I kind of got greedy and I wanted to roll it. And I ended up keeping the Sharp Eyes over it just because I think when I was rolling it, I was like 214 or something. So I was like, this saves me a node slot for now. I can put another node in.
Sure. Yeah, an extra boost node, get that extra crit damage. Because I think eventually DSs aim for around 60% crit, I think, in their stat window, and that's enough to basically hit 100 on everything.
Because most of our hyper skills, I think, give at least plus 40 or 50 crit rate. Our main mobbing our main mobbing skill actually just doesn't have extra crit rate. It just says it crits. But our main bossing thing is 100% crit. So I do need to get it eventually for sure.
I mean, Decent Sharp Eyes is in itself also 8% critical damage, right? So it's kind of like a line, but yeah, eventually you do want to get the crit, and then a line of crit and line of stat, or a line of crit and Sharp Eyes, or Speed Infusion, right? So you get that extra slot out of it. That is, of course, very, very useful. But same thing for the DA as well, right? Yeah, because you have HP. What do you have? HP, MP, or something? Because that's like the typical Demon Avenger roll on everything.
Yeah, it made me really happy for half a second when I thought I had 3 lines, and then I was like, oh no, actually.
Yeah, no, it's the defense line for archers, Yeah,
exactly. I think the main reason why I hadn't really gone for it, because I learned that when I came back this time about how important critical damage was, just listening to most of the time when I'm working during the day, I just have your stream on and I'm just listening to it, and I realized that I heard you say multiple times that once you have 100% crit damage is just damage at that point. So like I do need to get that better, but I would like to get my Absol gloves on my Demon Avenger to do that before. I don't really want to spend that much money on my
totally get that.
Right?
Yeah, totally understandable.
I don't really know what I was thinking back in the day when I cubed him. To begin with, honestly.
I don't know how long ago it was, but if it was like 3 or 4 years ago, you'll see some crazy. I mean, look at the medal that you got on this character, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was a different game back then, Different things mattered. Different things were important. And
about 2 years ago when I came back, I was kind of bummed out because I was like, man, these Afterlands totems are better than my totems. I remember how much time I spent trying to get these stupid Red Tiger student totems because I didn't think I was going to be able to get totems anywhere else. And sitting in my inventory.
Yeah, he's totally outclassed by something that's super fast. Oh well, at least you got to experience that content, Not many people did, so.
I got that chair. I don't know very many people that got that chair. I like the way that the metal looks. It's not actually even that bad of a metal.
No, I remember. Well, the thing with metals is that they're all really close, and that's why the Monster Parker metal makes so much sense, because it's also pretty close, but then 10% IED, which the further you go into the game, the better that just gets.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of the brain dead option. There was one that I was going for on my DA, which I think would rival it because ID isn't as valuable on DA, right? Which was the Reboot Masterclass one, but you had to do, I think you had to level 1 character of every single class, so like a warrior, an archer, etc. To, I think, was it like level 140 or 150, and then you had to do like a quest line, and there was some bug for me, and the quest line disappeared. But if you completed the quest, you would get a ring, and then if you had all 5 rings in your account, then you would get the Masterclass medal, which I believe had something like 4,000 HP and MP on it or something, which was like pretty nice. But yeah, because the quest was bugged and support didn't come back, it didn't get back to me. Event was over, and I was like, well, fuck me, I guess.
Yeah, that's brutal.
So that was a little bit unfortunate. Can you see what it was? Oh, rip. Don't know what that is. But yeah. Okay. We went into the... Yes, hyperstats, gloves, yes. Those are the things that kind of like stood out to me that I wanted to make sure to address. Okay, but overall, and Destiny upcoming, you have plans for your account there with the Terra-Burninator's, plans for your Legion, because like I said, I think a Legion is an important thing to keep in mind, especially because it helps you fund both of your characters.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing a marksman first, because I know that we get a bonus for getting an explorer to 210 or whatever, and I figured it might as well get a marksman up there, because it's once you hit 200, you get that 5% crit rate, and you also get I think you get crit rate from Bowman Link skill, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's
as well.
4 crit rate, I think,
Yeah.
but then yeah, you can have access to Link skill. Yeah, exactly. Together with the other archers. Yeah.
I know I need to do that. I know I need to get... I think I'm just going to do a Cane, not necessarily Terra Burn it, just to get one to level 2 Link skill, because I know that that's a really good Link skill.
Wait, did you say Cane?
Yeah, Cane, right?
Yeah, Kane's okay. It depends on what you already need. I think for DS it probably makes it. Like, the main thing is like so if you're bossing, you know, there's the general priority, and it basically follows the same priority of what you level the hyperstats in, right? Like those are also the thing that's most important if you're putting in if you're filling in your Legion board, or if you're going for Link skills. They basically all follow the same order, because that's just how important damage is. And then you try to mix and match where you get the best value in the separate slot. But the Cane is, if your character is good on crit and good on IED, then Cane pretty much like makes it to your top 12. But if you need a lot of crit and you need a lot of IED, then usually it falls just out of the top 12, because you also have utility in there. Depending on the boss you're doing, you want like Spirit of Freedom, you might want you might want Close Call, I don't know. But there's like some other stuff. The knockback resistance one is going to go away though, so that makes it move up a little bit. Not for you as a demon player, of course, because they both have 100%, but for other classes, it does bring Cane a little bit more into favorability and more of an option. But for most characters that I play, it's usually like number 13, 14, or 15. Like it just falls out of the things. One that you might be overlooking, because that's one that generally gets overlooked, is the Cadena Link skill.
Okay.
Where, especially when you're bossing, you just have it on all the time, right? Because it's like on monsters that are lower level than you, that's pretty much always check, right, when you're bossing. And then also on debuffed, which is also pretty much always check, because you're gonna have both of those ID debuffs that you use for both, right? And then you basically just have 12% damage on all the time when you're bossing, and that's a considerable good one. But I think you have, yeah, as long as you start from the top and you have like most of these, then you really can't go wrong.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of crazy. I like playing Phantom for whatever reason. I really think that their main punching attack is fun, so I'm planning on just I've been using my growth pots. I used them to finish off my Mercedes at the beginning of this event, and then I've been using them right now on Evan, just because I feel like getting those XP ones it'll add up. The earlier I get it, the more it'll add up, the more characters that I level.
Sure.
So I am planning on leveling my my Phantom at some point to get that extra 5% crit rate from the 210.
Oh, be good for
I have
the DA.
Luminous, so that would be good too. How important is the Explorer Mage, getting 3 of those to
pretty useful, yeah, because it's ID and damage together. Again, ID not the biggest, most important thing for just like the demons in general, because they do have some stuff in their kit for sure. And they have that self debuff, and then once your boost notes come in, Superior comes in, Bigger Legion comes in, you're usually already pretty settled. But if you want to make sure you have enough IED, you know, even without familiars, if you don't get lucky into that, and you can really roll out of it on your WSC completely without feeling weird about it, it is a good one to have, because usually the one that is in there from the very beginning is the Kana Link skill. And the Explorer Mage one is basically the one that replaces the Kana for most people, because you're essentially just replacing, and again, because it's debuff on the boss, and some characters don't have debuffs by themselves. So what it'll do is it'll enable the Cadena Link, and maybe also the Thief Link if people want to. And the Thief Link is kind of like the Cane Link, where for most people it just like barely makes it, or it barely doesn't make it. But again, it depends on your dependence on the other ones. But yeah, because it's 9% boss, 9% damage, 9% IED versus the Kana's just 10% damage. Which, if you can trade 1% damage for 9% IED, you pretty much always do that. Because it's final damage, so.
That's a big difference.
Yep.
So I'm looking at just link skills right now. Aaron is basically not that useful link skill. I shouldn't have to worry about getting that to level 3, right? It's probably not that.
I think a level 2 is fine, especially on lower level characters. If you want to eventually get to 8k, I like leveling it, but yeah, some people don't like it as much. I think it's mainly good if you're still in the build-up of the Legion itself. Just having like a level 2 Aaron link skill is already very useful. Yeah.
Okay. How important? I don't have an Angelic Buster right now. Do you think that would be pretty? Is that something I should probably work on? Is that maybe something I should think about terror burning in Destiny? I think.
Yeah, it could be, especially if it's a character you definitely want to get level 3 link on, and maybe if it's one that you could maybe see yourself turn into a bossing mule, right? Because there is a lot of value in the terror burn. So if you can double dip there, that would definitely be what I would advise. Yeah, pretty much every character eventually ends up using the level 3 terms and conditions. Even the classes that aren't very burst heavy will still try to use it and use as much of their skills at the same time during a domain, right? And it's a 90-second cooldown, so it helps. There's quite some characters with like 120 or 100-second cooldown things, and then you can just hold it a little bit longer and just shoot at that extra 60% damage on a skill. That's always nice.
Okay.
Or on 2 skills, depending on how much you're lagging.
Okay, another one is, I don't know, how does the jet link skill work? Is that something I should be working on or thinking about working on?
Yeah, you'd have to get a little bit deeper into the calculations for the details, but basically I think the jet is one that eventually does make it into the top 12. Not very far in. It's probably like number 10, 11, or 12 itself. Depending on how well you roll it, but it's basically like, it's kind of like a potential on an equip. It's kind of like your inner ability in a sense. Like you have to tier it up, you have to roll, and then the extra thing is that it's just only out of possible 6 stats, right? So it's a hexagon that just gives you any of the 4 main stat or weapon or magic attack, and it gives you just a random value, and the total value is based on the rarity, like on how far it goes. If it goes up to legendary, or it goes up to unique, I think it's a little, because I talked about it last time and somebody corrected me. I think it only goes up to unique. I don't think there's a legendary. Hope I'm remembering that part correctly. But basically, you well, as long as your character is like at least level 140, you're good. And there is one extra option where if you roll the stat configuration, like the shape of where the stats are, matches the outside, but it's offset, you can use an item to rotate the stats in their entirety until they match with the stats on the outside so that you get the stats that you want. So you have more outs that way. You don't have to fully re-roll, but you can kind of just like shift it. And then you can lock it in place with the solidifier item. So basically once it's locked in, so it goes up to like 35. So you could essentially get, the ideal roll would be like 35 strength, 35 weapon attack for you. If you compare that to something,
all the way up to 35 attack,
yeah. If you compare that to say like the Hayato, right? It's way better than that.
Yeah.
But the Hayato is free immediately, so it's good early on. But then, yeah, once you work on the Legion, on the jet link skill, then later that'll be the one you definitely replace it with.
Okay.
It's not too like it costs some money, right? Because all the items are in the cash shop. I think with like 2 bill, you can get like a good roll, like a 30 plus, and lock it for a year. So you can lock it for up to a year, and then you just have to relock it later. Reminder for everyone now and at home watching eventually in the future to check your jet link skill or to mark your calendar on when to check, because that is something you forget, and then it automatically re-rolls, and then you have to remake it. So
that definitely seems like a system that Nexon would come up with.
It's interesting, yeah.
So I think I have a pretty good grasp on which link skills I kind of want to do next.
Okay.
For me, I think the crit rate is probably, at least for my DA, it seems like it's probably one of the big things, just because it'll free me up on like my secondary or whatever. I mean, I'm probably not going to roll out secondary anyway, but
yeah, DA needs it quite a lot, and DS doesn't really need it, so they kind of need opposing stats on that part.
All right. So I think if I have really a whole lot more questions, it's not really a question, but I'm looking forward to the upgrade of our symbols for Demon Avenger and Destiny. It'll be nice little chunk of HP we're gonna get for basically nothing.
Well, for our suffering for the last years, but
well, yeah,
it's basically reparations,
right now,
but okay.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm sure I had more questions. I kept thinking about stuff to like ask them in the stream, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna wait until Saturday because I want to make sure I have questions, and I know I'm probably forgetting some stuff that I was thinking.
And you can go through like the screenshots themselves, or go through like the topics. I know about the V matrix. We didn't really talk about that.
Oh yeah.
Anything there that maybe can?
So is there a certain like level for some of the DA skills that start making it like actually worth using? Like right now, I'm not even using Demonic Blast. It never really felt like a very useful ability to me.
That's a telling question. Like, is there a level where my main core skills actually become worth using?
Exactly.
Oh god, it's such a sad question, and it's so correct. Yeah, decent skills are basically our fifth job.
Okay.
You want sharp eyes. You could probably do with decent combat orders as well. Decent combat orders is something that you don't want to underestimate, because it also increases the base attack, the base damage of your fourth job attacks and your passives. So it ends up rippling quite nicely, right? You know, because you add the damage before the final damage, so it like multiplies with it. I think Dimensional Sword is probably our best skill until Destiny, and then Frenzy finally becomes better again. I like Blast in mobbing situation. Like, let's say that you're down jumping, because you trained in L Cup?
I've been training in L Cup, yeah. Just Frenzy and dashing.
Oh, this one with the two parallel platforms,
the two
right?
platforms, yeah.
What I like, for example, do you use the teleporter to go down? Do you go clockwise, teleporter down?
I usually just do I usually go up jump from the right side and then go all the way to the left, down jump, and then just usually do a big circle around, you know?
Yeah, do you go clockwise or counterclockwise?
I think I go counterclockwise most of the time.
Okay. I like going clockwise because if you're on the bottom left, you can just down jump into the ground and then it teleports you straight up. Okay. And on the right side, there's a portal that teleports you down. So that's why I like going clockwise. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't make any difference for you.
You don't have to waste time like doing the up jump or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. If you do the up jump though, then I would probably blast, because then you can already do blast before you get to the platform. AoE kill around you. We don't have anything else that can do that, right? Like, well, we have Lunar Slash, but the vertical hitbox on that is kind of dog shit. So blast is nicer then. There is a change to blast that it's going to just instantly be done all the time, but blast is also a damage reduction. So if you time it properly, you also get 30% incoming damage reduction in blast. Including percentage HP attacks. So one thing you can do is you can also use blast to animation cancel. So I don't know if this is a combo you've ever used, but you when you get into your Demon Avenger, I would say to try it out. What you could do is you can pop 1,000 Swords right after that, pop blast, and it'll just immediately like cancel the end lag, and then you can like rush. And the thing with the dash with the rush, what is it called, Demon Strike, right? Is that it kind of extends your hitbox a little bit. And what I noticed is this is a very reliable way of like dashing through the Lotus Laser, for example. Like, wait until it's right in front of you, 1,000 Sword, blast, and then rush, and then you get the extra. You probably have Frenzy on, right? So you already have 30% incoming damage reduction. But then you have an extra, an additional 30% damage reduction because of the blast being Demon Strike through the laser, and then the damage you take is just really, really low. And this is especially something that's really nice to use when you get that Suicide Shield. So then the skill becomes a little bit more strategic.
So does that keep you from getting damaged by it, or is it just you have so much reduced damage it just doesn't one-shot you?
Yeah, so it's 100. The laser standard is 100%. So if you have a frenzy on, you would get hit for 70%. Which, you know, if you have full HP, which you probably do, because they changed the hitbox of the phase 1 in Lotus so that it actually gets hit by frenzy. That wasn't the thing in the beginning, so you could never use that.
Wow, that's actually terrible.
Yeah, it was either the hitbox downwards of the machine or the hitbox upwards of frenzy, or both needed to happen for them to actually overlap. Yeah, it was really stupid. The puddles would just be like right underneath. Same thing for Helix. Like the puddles of frenzy would just be underneath his chin and would just not hit him. I'd be like, okay, cool. So there goes my kit. Well, now just nether shields, I guess, and dash around him. Yeah, and that's all we can do.
So I'll just wait 2 more minutes for my dimensional sword to come back up.
Yeah. But yeah, so for the Lotus Laser, and then if you have, so then you only take 70% from that specific attack, and then if you had an additional 30%, then you would take 21% of that. So then you would end up with, what is it, like 49%? So you take a little bit, just under half HP damage dashing through. Because sometimes, you know, the laser and then something falls right at the same time, and then that combination could still kill you if you only have one source of damage reduction. Or if you have the shield and you take 25% more from all sources, including percentage HP, then you know things can get hairy pretty quickly. So
yeah, that actually was something I was curious about earlier this week when I was running Lotus, is if we could dash through it. And I guess we not necessarily in the same way that other people can go through it, where they just don't get hit, but if we can just tank it, that makes sense actually. Okay.
Yeah, and any class that can do that, it saves a lot of time on Lotus. Plus, and if you save time, then you save the chance for erratic laser, right? And erratic laser is usually death, so that's cool. Also notice your DA has 6 boost nodes. That's a bit overkill, I think.
Yeah, I mostly just did that because I wanted to cap out on like 60 on most of my stuff, and I didn't feel like I didn't really, I guess I didn't give myself, I didn't give decent combat orders really a fair shake. I didn't feel like.
Yeah, decent combat orders, decent hyper body. It's a really good one, right?
So I have decent hyper body. If you look at my pants, I actually.
Oh, yeah, your pants. Okay.
It's one of my favorite items I have. It's 21% HP and decent hyper body.
Well, that's yeah, that's probably endgame, because rolling 3-line HP is 8s on CRA. So
yeah,
my DA doesn't even have that. I have a, let's see, I have a 21 HP with 9 strength, and then I have 24 and 24. That's what I have.
I heard you talking about that the other day, about how a lot of people keep their CRA at unique just because it leaves less trash lines for your, like,
for the epic lines,
second and third lines or whatever. So I was like, oh wow, I must have gotten really lucky then, because I got like 2 line on my top and hat and my 3 line on my pants.
Well, yeah. So, but there is so there's Blast, there's Revenant, right? Which you don't have, I think, right? Revenant is a 4th.
I don't even have it.
I mean, it's a 4-minute cooldown, and basically once it activates, you cannot die to damage. Everything just gets you to 1 HP, and the more HP you take, the more you shoot out like these like spikes out of you, these blood spikes, and these do extra damage to targets around you. And of course, because during frenzy, you also deal more damage, you know, more final damage. The lower your HP is, you just want to stand in all the damage and take as much damage as possible. And then the damage is returned to you when the skill is over. But I think it lasts like 30 seconds or something. When it's over, the damage is returned to you over time. But because it's just a small amount, and because, you know, you have the constant lifesteal and the frenzy and everything, it's a pretty negligible amount. So it's that's a pretty powerful, like for example for CPAP or something, right? Like you go in there, you pop all your buffs, and then you just pop Revenant and you just nuke them down and nothing can kill you. You just tank everything, and it's great because those big lasers touching is a fuck ton of damage, which just means more spikes and more final damage for you. So it's that is the one boss that you're gonna enjoy. So if you could kill it with, like, within the Revenant,
I don't even know if I think I probably got it. You get all your skills right when you hit 5th job. Like you get at least one of the nodes.
If you got it a long time ago, you would have to actively have like logged in during the time when the new skills came out to like pick up the node, and that was only like a 2-week period that you could do that. And then after that, you just have to open it from a node or craft it yourself.
That makes sense, because it does, like, I think I'd seen it on your DA when you're on it or something, but I don't even know if I've ever gotten it out of Node Stone on this guy.
Probably not. You probably would have kept it if you had gotten it.
So I've never even tried it. Like I I've seen it just when I was crafting stuff, but I never really. I kind of just assumed it was like a lot of the other.
You also don't have you don't have Mastama, which is just some extra damage for later on. And the Goddess Blessing is also really nice. It's final damage, and it's on a 2-minute cooldown, so it goes together with the Dimensional Sword and with a regular 2-minute burst cycle. And then, so basically by having so many extra boost nodes, it's not like you're missing out on a ton, but if you're going to do more bossing stuff and you want to min-max more during the bossing areas, you will benefit a lot from like consolidating your boost nodes, because you basically only need 2. Like I have 4, but those extra 2 I almost never use. It's basically just like the Nether Shields, Execution, and the final, is it the final attack one? The Exceed, right? The extra Exceed attack.
The Exceed final damage.
Yeah, it's basically just those 3 on 2 boost nodes, and that's basically it. Then if you're mobbing, then you can have Lunar Slash, 1,000 Swords, and what's the extra one you put on there?
So I have one that's Demon Strike right now, just because I've been.
Oh yeah, Demon Strike. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So that's and then basically you have 2 of each, and then you're done. And then, but when you're bossing, you only need to use those first 2, because the other ones, like using the 1,000 Swords, even if it's completely pushed, and then even with animation cancel with blast after that, it still lowers your DPS. You can basically just keep doing Executioner. So.
Yeah, I really wish it was, especially playing like Demon Slayer. All their stuff they can run, they can like flash jump and use it, or our 1,000 Swords can just get stuck in place.
A bit clunkier, yeah. They were reducing the end delay, the lag afterwards by like 33% or something in Destiny as well. So that should give some quality of life, yeah. Especially once you have a cooldown reduction and you can do multiple in a row, you can just like and just shoot them out. That's really nice.
So do you think it might be worth it to get like a cooldown hat at that point? And Destiny, I think that might be a thing that we might look at.
I thought of it, but not for the shields, but for Blast, because Blast is going to 12-second cooldown. Okay. And if you can get 2-second reduction, that means you can use it every 10 seconds instead, which is a lot of uses out of it. Because the shields are already under 10 seconds, and if it's under 10 seconds, then it's only like 5% per level or something. So you have 2, then you only do 10%, so you go from 5 seconds to 4.5, so it's not quite as efficient on the lower end.
Okay.
But there's, I don't know if people have done like the hard maths. It's possible, maybe if you get to like a 4-second hat or something, but I think the average cost for that is like 80 bill or higher than that, so that's a pretty spooky one.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be going for that anytime soon. That seems like it's like a double crit line, It's not
because more DPM as well, right? Because of Frenzy, so you want your stable damage to be good and not as not as erratic or
Yeah, you don't want it to be like high rolly, like hoping that your thing should be better. Okay.
Yeah, because I have the 10-second cooldown, the 10% cooldown reset on my inner ability, but there's like most culvert runs I only get like 1 skip or something. So what's really cool though is if you get like a back-to-back skip on your bind, right? Because that's also a hyperstat. So no, that's not a hyperstat. That's a force job skill, right? For most classes, it's a hyperstat, so it doesn't work. A hyper skill, but for us it's a force job, so you can actually like cooldown skip it, so you can just AoE. That's really cool. Okay.
Yeah, that is kind of cool when you're doing it on when you get like a skill cooldown. And
like a VC3, you just like slam, yeah.
What should I be going for my ability on my DA? I have the attack speed on my ability. I just got that like 2 or 3 days ago. What should I be like? I know I should probably look for Meso, because I'm going to be training this guy a lot at some point. But like, should I be going for like what can I go for really in my second and third lines?
Well, you have 4,000 honor experience, so you shouldn't be going for anything. You should just be holding, building up a lot of honor experience, I would say. And then once you get the hard, like you really want to do hard lucid and hard will, and you want to min-max your damage there, then I would say maybe at that point you start considering rolling. If you had some meso, that would be great. 20 jump, that's pretty good too. I don't know.
I was pretty stoked when I rolled.
Don't want to knock that. Yeah. Unique. Yeah. That was so basically what we benefit a lot from would be crit and cooldown skip. Like ideally those are the 2 that you want in there. Ones that are pretty close is like extra % damage to debuffed, right? That only goes up to 8% when boss damage goes up to 10, so it's a 2% difference. But you know, the target when you're bossing is always going to be debuffed, so that one's really close. Flat attack will do something, Mezzo will do something, drop rate will do something, right? So all of those I would say are acceptable outs on top of the attack speed. But because of variance, because of how the inner-ability works, if you're really specifically trying to run for the roll for those, it would be better to just wait to have like a few mil honor experience, roll circulators to try to get one of those 2 lines, seeing what you need the most. Like if your Legion's still a little bit underdeveloped and crit rate is still like your star for crit rate, then I would keep rolling until you hit that 20 crit, and then lock that in, try to get the attack speed back, and then just, you know, donkey roll for the last line. If crit rate wise you're okay, your Legion is big, your link skills are there, your hyperstats, you can make the crit work, then the cooldown skip would be a bit more important, and then you know, roll for that one, lock it in, and then, you know, same thing.
Okay, for sure. So I definitely shouldn't just be blocking attack speed, trying to roll my 2 and 2nd and 3rd every time I get enough honor XP to do it.
Kind of depends on how far you want to go on your character. If you're like,
Yeah.
the best this is ever going to get is attack speed level 1, and like anything useful after that, if you're okay with that, you're like surrendering to that being your reality, then you could do that. Of course, wait for 50% off and then just roll. But I usually want to keep the door open for long term. Like, let's say Destiny does come around and you absolutely love the character and you want to go all the way. Well, already you're going to feel like, ooh, now I have 4,000 honor experience. That probably wasn't a great idea. But the longer you do that, the more you could be postponing your inevitable eventual ability by like 6 months, a year, 2 years, if you just keep donkey rolling all of your honor experience.
Okay. Yeah, well, I was just, most of the reason I was rolling is because I saved up about 500k honor XP for that last honor roll, 50% off, and I didn't get attack speed once, and I was just like, all right, well, that kind of sucks. So since then I've just been rolling, and I did get the attack speed, and it made my rates go up probably about, it was about 740, 730 mil every totem, and I went up to about 820, and I felt like that was a pretty
you're dashing a lot, right?
You know? Yeah, exactly. So I felt like it might do that. So
is that with green pots as well, by the way? Because we mentioned
that is with green pots. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I make sure whenever I'm doing my totems, I have enough. I have at least 4 green pots, 4 gold pots. I don't. It's just free. There's no reason not to.
Exactly. Well, and then if you keep doing the
+2 attack speed, right?
Yeah, by itself it gives +1, but it allows you to go past the soft cap of 2 up to a max of 0. So if you have something else that's already technically giving you a line of attack speed, but it's being blocked by the green pot, by having no green pot or no other source of letting you bypass the cap, then essentially the green pot enables 2 more attack speed. But by itself, it technically gives 1.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. What else? Anything else?
Well, since you're going into those areas now, are you okay with familiars and how all that works? Because you're going to be getting those, right?
So, yeah, I'm planning on I think once Destiny comes out, and when like right now I'm training. I'm trying to get as much XP as possible when I'm training, obviously, because that's the main thing you want. I think the Mesa is extra. But once
a nice extra.
Yeah, absolutely. But once Destiny hits, I think I'm going to start trying to go towards places that I can actually get familiars, because my familiars right now aren't, like, I have the drop rate familiar, right, the big spiders, which is nice, and I have a 15% just common IED familiar. But I haven't really done much familiar farming on this guy. I should probably be just disassembling them and buying the packs, right? That's probably the best way to go about it.
If you have a lot of them that are different kinds, yeah.
Okay.
If they're the same kinds and you have like hundreds, thousands, then you can level them up. But if you're in D cup on this guy, like, then you're not getting any influx from training, right? All you're getting is from Legion. Yeah, in that situation, extract and keep a buffer for essence in case you need that. But otherwise, I would see if you can get a booster pack here and there. Yeah, maybe get lucky, get an epic.
Okay.
Actually, one time I bought a booster pack and I got a Dio, who's one of the Sahara set, one of the boss ones. It was one of the easier bosses because he like spawns at 3 different locations, but and it revealed him into large drop rate, which was pretty on a character that already had one, of course. But yeah, that was pretty crazy.
That is pretty nice. I'm really curious to see where, if it unlocks any new areas that we can train once we have like basically a hurricane skill. That's something I literally just am so excited for Destiny for this character. I just can't wait. Having a hurricane skill just sounds so good.
Well, I think
Especially
I think it still does damage in intervals and not continuously, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But the main thing I'm excited for, and it's a little bit like further meta thing, is when Kishin, is changing in that way. The amount of maps that is going to open just because it's not full of Kana's farming anymore should be considerable as well. So I hope that Limina doesn't become such a huge bottleneck and people move out of that area, or that want to move into that area can move into it more easily, and that people who hopefully make the step to Cernium when it makes sense, but like the overall amount of hours maps clogged should be severely going down because the Kishin buff gone. So hopefully my DA can kind of like mosey on in there and take over when the maps are empty. That would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, even for me right now, because the last time I played was during quarantine of before I started playing this time around, of course. So it was during quarantine back 2 years ago, and there were so many people playing at that time. It was like most of the time when I would run a totem, it was because I actually found a map. I was like, oh look, there's a Rev 3 open. I got to do a totem right now.
Yeah.
You would just be surfing channels for 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Being like, hey,
it was Rev and Arcana, right? Were completely full. Was this like
that.
early? Are you talking like early 2021 or late 2020?
I think I'm talking about like 2020, around like April to like July, somewhere around there, during like that anniversary event.
Oh, okay. I think it was after that that botting got out of control, and that every single map in Arcana just had Arcana botter in it, like every single one, and then so that it spread into Lackline because people were just like, even botters couldn't find maps anymore in Arcana, so they had to go down, and then the alleyways and the Galinas, and the Revs and all of those maps were starting to get flooded. Yeah. That was bad. And then they banned like 60,000 people in a month and got rid of all of them.
I really do not like Kanas, just because there was actually multiple times where I'd be like, all right, cool, I found myself a nice Rev 3 map. I'm gonna be chilling, and it's honestly, even to this day, one of my favorite maps, just because I felt like DA actually, when you're doing your flash jumping and your lunar slash, you hit pretty much the
you can actually hit
both platforms. It's actually really nice. Yeah. And there's multiple times where I started a totem like 20 minutes into my totem, and then some little asshole Kana came in there and was just like, all right, well,
puts the summons down and you're fucked.
I'm gonna take your map. There's nothing you could do about it. And you're just like, all right, well, this sucks. I guess I'm not gonna use this totem.
And that's when the DS was born. Gotta play something that can kill monsters, right?
Well, it was actually, I ended up kind of burning myself out, and I just felt like I got to a point where my character was probably about close to 20k stat, and I just was looking at my friend had started playing that at that point, and I had played in 2016 for about 6 months, and so I had kind of a head start on him. But then he came and played a character like I think he was playing a Bowmaster or something. He was training, and he caught up to me like so quickly, and I was just like, man, I've spent all this time, I worked so hard on this character, and this character's just not where I want him to be. It just feels like he just is so undertuned compared to almost everything else.
Yeah, I mean, he was. It just got, I think it was okay before 5th job and everything, and in the beginning, and Frenzy was like kind of okay in the beginning. The first really annoying thing was when AFK mobs came out. I don't know if you were playing before that, but like you could just turn on Frenzy, you could just dash through the map, and you could go down to like, be like max HP and be down to 5,000 HP or even below that, but like you would never die from anything, right? Like the elites could kill you, so you have to be a little bit careful, but you'd just be moving. And I just remember so many people coming into my chat being like, oh my god, you're so low, use a potion. I'm like, no, I don't have to, and I'm gonna die. And then AFK mobs came in, and you would just be like, every 5 minutes you'd be like looking around over your shoulder, you would just get one tap by him and be like, so now I can't even use Frenzy to train anymore. Well, fuck me, I guess. And then every new skill that came out, everyone was like, oh my god, look at my amazing skill. And Demon Avenger was like, what? Why don't we get anything? And we just got left behind so much, And that's around the time I started looking around as well. My last Hail Mary was actually crafting an arcane weapon on the DA to see like maybe this is enough of a damage boost, so I can keep it going, but it just wasn't enough. The kit just, no. That's why I mentioned reparations, because I do feel like they have stuff to make up for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I I came back during the compensation because my friends were like, "Hey, you need to, even if you're not going to play, you need to come get some of this stuff. Like, it gives you a free arcane weapon, a free knife
Oh
stone
yeah, yeah.
independent
The
type thing." And I
compensation
was
last
like,
year.
and
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know. And he was like, "Dude, just download it real quick, grab it,
yeah,
uninstall it. Like,
yeah,
just make sure you grab at least some of it, right?"
yeah.
So I was able to do that, and it did give me a little boost, but I didn't end up getting back into it around that time. It's actually when I came back about 2 months ago is when I first started using it, basically. But I like you said, it's not necessarily that they got super like weaker. It's just everybody else seems to get
Comparatively, yeah,
stronger.
exactly. So much, yeah, more dynamic and like interaction in the kit. And DS's kit, when you think about it, it basically is fucking with itself, because you have like Forbidden Contract and you have Lifesteal ticks. You have all these ways of getting your HP higher and keeping your HP high, but then Frenzy gives you final damage the lower your HP is, even though the Sorcerer of Power is HP. It's like it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, and on top of it, it's like it's also like when you're best damaging and bossing skills, but it's like how many bosses can you really just stand on top of and just let tip without really dying, right?
And then you try to do dojo, and they're just teleporting all over the place, constantly out of all the spots, and you're like, okay, well, this is all of my damage. You just walk out of it.
Yeah. Well, luckily, like I was so excited when I came back and I heard that there was like actually big changes coming.
Big changes, yeah. I mean, if they did absolutely nothing to the class, but just one of the things, like Frenzy instead of a 2-minute toggle being a 1-second toggle, and they changed nothing else, that would already be a huge thing. But that's just one in the list of many, many things. Have you gone through the whole list of things?
Yeah, kind of. I know. Well, I've looked at them a bunch of times. The only things that I really know about off the top of my head are just I know we're getting more final damage on like a couple of our skills, I think, and obviously a Demon Frenzy thing, and I think our shields are going to move a little faster. But I know that they're now going to prioritize the highest HP mobs, so it's going to kind of suck for Gollux because it was easy to
there
kill
go
the
the potatoes. Yeah, that's a little annoying. But yeah, they don't have Gollux, right? So they didn't have to account for that. Yeah, it's a little bit of a downside, but. Oh well. Yeah, it's 15 final damage on one of our skills. I think it's on the passive one that also gives us a rank of attack speed, like the purple demon head guy. And then like the delay after the shields being down, Frenzy working differently, and then being a 1-second toggle. That's really nice, right? Because you can just go out of Frenzy, use a potion, boom, be full HP, right? And then just go right back into it all the time. So that's going to give a huge amount of utility. And then I'm not sure if that's going to be combined with Destiny, but after Destiny, what KMS also got is the damage, just the overall damage of Dimensional Sword and of Revenant was just doubled.
Okay.
So that's that's pretty solid too. So hello burst damage when we have some burst, yeah. Oh, the one thing I wanted to mention with the V Matrix, because you were talking about like which skills to put in there. What I do as extra, and I don't know how important that was when I did it on the DA, but what I tried is, because you basically just have dash dash dash, and then sometimes you throw in a blast, and you throw out your nether shields whenever you can, right? So they're flying around and hitting stuff. Yeah. Maybe you jump and use your bind in the bottom one time to like full map clear, but that's pretty much it. What I try to do is to like alternate, kind of like stagger the empowered buffs. So between the Dimensional Sword and regular form, right? So that sometimes it hits behind you, the monsters that you just passed by. Sometimes it can hit them, so you can get a little bit extra clear. Sometimes, and then when that's on cooldown, use Mustama as like an extra skill that can hit some extra monsters, or use the Goddess Blessing, because there's one of the skills from the Goddess Blessing that is like a big explosion that like does an insane amount of damage and a really giant AoE. So what I tried to was kind of, and you can have a little bit of overlap even because all of the skills have decently short cooldowns, is to just like rotate between those three as just having an extra way of killing monsters, which I think is a good idea to do, especially if you move out of that area and you move into like VC3 or something, right, in Moonbridge, is you're going to have way more monsters around you all the time, so the more effects you have going on, the more things it can connect with.
Gotcha.
And then, well, yeah, and then you have more slots, and hopefully the boost nodes are more consolidated, so you'll have more room to put those guys in there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So, like, Master Mode, Goddess Blessing, got it. Like, okay.
Yeah. So the only ones you're missing there would be Revenant and it's Mastama, but it's like a purple cat. You'll probably see it when you go into the creation. Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten that a few times.
It's not great. It does some damage reduction, but you can't really decide what it triggers on. But you know, sometimes you get lucky, and the Goddess Blessing can also put a shield on you sometimes that can block some incoming damage, and especially when you have a Suicide Shield on, you know, if sometimes that gets blocked and you actually survive, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, like you said, if I go to a different map, like obviously El Cup's a much different type of map than pretty much every other map. Like that's not normal. It's nice because I don't really have to worry about loot timer, but that's
you're just zooming.
Nice
that's cool. Yeah, and don't have to worry about vac bats either because everything is on
exactly.
smooth, flat surface, and you don't have to worry. Yeah.
Exactly, because I wasn't even sure if I was going to go back to this character when vac bats were out, and now that I am, I'm kind of bummed about it because I could be just swapping it between my Demon Avenger and my.
That's true.
Slayer,
you get that value.
So hopefully they bring hopefully the next set, which I like the way they look better anyway.
People are hoping on Destiny for the little spooky, kind of like Halloweeny vibes, right? Yeah, people are really hoping for that. I mean, I hope for your sake as well that they'll bring him back.
I can't imagine they wouldn't. I mean, they probably made so much money off the last set, and I know some people are gonna be like, "Oh, I need more."
Yes. I mean, yeah, you see people running around who just unironically have 3 of them for no purpose other than to just have them, and it's like that's $300 right there. It's like Jesus.
The purpose is to get the chair, right? I mean, that chair.
Yeah, for the chair. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean,
another thing to AFK park your pixels on while you're doing something else. True. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that comes to mind?
No, not really. Not off the top of my head, not at the moment. I mean, I think we covered all the main things that I wanted to cover. Mostly just wanted to pop in here and kind of just support and also help myself a little out in the process, you know?
Yep.
I'm in your stream like probably 20, 30 hours a week, so a lot of the stuff I feel like I've gotten tangentially, but it's always
you pick up little bits here and there, right?
More. Yeah, exactly. And it's always helpful to get more like specific for me type stuff, and especially with like gear type stuff, it's hard to ask gear type questions when it's in chat because you got to look at the whole picture type thing. Yeah,
you need a pretty holistic idea of what is already moving from one piece to the next, and how long are you going to hold it? Does that mean that you upgrade it? How far do you upgrade it? Yeah, that's all interconnected for sure.
Yeah, appreciate it. That was very, very helpful. I'll definitely start working on my Legion more. Gotta work on stuff to help out both my characters. Change up my hyperstats a little bit on my DA. Start saving up this honor XP.
Yep.
All right.
Bump some 15s. Hopefully that's nice and cheap tomorrow.
Yeah, I hope that it's just easy. I watched my friend get like 3 15s last night and like 400 mil. And I was just like, hopefully that wipes off on me. But
yeah, hopefully hopefully that rubs off. Yeah.
I mean, Maple's been pretty nice to me this week. I mean that. 36% attack. I still am just buzzing over it. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I told you, right? Like, yeah, my mom rolled the same thing. Yeah. I thought she typoed. She was like 36. I'm like, you mean 33? That's really good. It's like, no, 36. And she showed it. I'm like, God damn it. Well, and then so it's her arcane, but her arcane is like 12 stars, 36 attack. You know, it's like, so it's like walking into the house with the weird mirrors. It's like you're looking at an item like that, and you're like, okay, well, whatever.
I was literally like, I hope I can get some IED on this in whatever amount of cubes, and I didn't end up even getting it to legendary initially because I had like about 40 black and red cubes saved up from the event because I knew that I was going to get this on Wednesday. And I did that, and I got it to unique, and I was like, man, I got it to like 7 attack, 15 IED, and at that point it still was a massive upgrade because I had Pencilator 6% attack before, and I was like, this is still crazy upgrade for me.
I'm looking back, 7 attack, 15 IED compared to this is another dimension of
nothing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what, I was late, and I was like about to get off. I'm like, I'm gonna buy a couple packs, and I bought a pack of black cubes and didn't do anything. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy one more. And I was like, I know I shouldn't be doing this. It's 5, 10, 15 this weekend, but you know, we're gonna do it anyway. And I did it. And first one on my second pack got it to legendary, and then my first cube off my red pack got that. I was elated.
Yeah, well, that's one of those great, like, all it takes is one cube, you know. The very next cube could be the one.
Yep.
All right. Well, yeah, if anything really important pops up that needs like a lot of extra explanation, just hit me up on Discord. But otherwise, you know, any question or most questions in the chat, I try to all answer them. So you're always welcome there to check in, and then we'll see if we can help you out. Yeah,
I really appreciate it, man.
All right.
I love your content. I'm always near the stream. Appreciate how much you help out everybody and myself as well.
Right. Well, you're very welcome. And I wish you all the best of luck tomorrow in the upgrading, and I'll see you around.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you as well. Bye-bye. What a nice guy. All right. So if you guys are in a similar situation, hopefully this was helpful for you. If you're planning to play multiple characters, especially if you're trying to go hard on boss mules, including with the Terror Burns that are upcoming, build your Legion. It's so important. And the member bonuses are nice, but getting into the 3, 4, 5, 6K areas in the grid is just so helpful. It's almost like you have an extra set of hyperstats, you know, like it's just hyperstats, Legion links, and your, what's the other one? Well, basically familiars later on, but that creates such a solid foundation for any character to start on. And anyone, if you ask anyone, they will tell you, like, if you're 1 or 2K Legions, like, you don't really feel that big difference. But once you get to 3K, you fill up that crit rate, you start a new character, that character is just like smacking snails for tens of thousands of damage on Maple Island, you know? Like, well, maybe not quite that much, but you're starting to see double, triple, quadruple lines, digit lines so much faster, and you can keep one-shotting for so much longer, and the leveling just doesn't slow down quite as fast. And then once that snowball is rolling, you'll have like your whole squad, like right now, like he has 25 character slots still, right, for characters over level 60 that can count. You make 25, even just level 60s, that's 1,500 levels extra. That's 4K Legion right there, just by making 25 level 60s. You know, you'll get them all to up to 100. You get extra double level 2 links, extra Legion grid. You can do Zakum every day. They all get to 140. Now you get 6K Legion. Like, bam. It is just power in numbers, and that's why it's called the Legion, you know? So, if you like this session, I'm glad. Hopefully it was helpful for you and entertaining while you were training on your totem. Hopefully you got like another 20 minutes left. Make sure you refresh that MVP and that event buff. And if you want one of these sessions, check the description of the video on how you can get one, and you can plan one with me one-on-one. If you would like to win one, leave a comment saying that you would like to win with your Discord name, and I will pick 2 winners at the end of the month, and one of them could be you, and then you can have one of these sessions for free with me on stream, or yes, on stream. They have to be on stream. But if you want to have it off stream, you want to have like a turbo session that immediately needs to be planned, all of that is available as well. Links in the description. So thank you for watching. I'd rather see you on the next video, or see you live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Scardor, where I have all of those links, all of those resources, all available for you, and you can get them all with just a simple command in the chat. As you see here, a lot of people constantly using commands. I have about 200 of them with information, and they're all available to you. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.